Hello, I'm Cecil Staten, the President and CEO of AAHOA. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I wish that we were able to meet in person for this regional event. However, the COVID 19 pandemic continues to keep our nation and our economy in a holding pattern as we wait for a vaccine. When I joined AAHOA last year, I looked forward to traveling across the country to meet you, the people who drive America's hospitality industry. As a former small business owner myself, I feel an immense kinship with you because of your entrepreneurial drive and vision. It's that commitment to build, to inspire, and to succeed that drew me to AAHOA. If ever there were a time that the unwavering optimism of entrepreneurs such as you is most valuable, it's now, when times are tough. Even though you worked hard and built successful businesses, COVID 19 continues to disrupt our industry in ways that few could have imagined, and it's pushing many hotels to the brink. I'm the son of small business owners, and in addition to being an educator, I built several small businesses myself. From reviving a failing radio station and building that success into owning 15 radio stations, to launching 2 publishing companies that brought New York Times best-selling books to print. I believe that my hard work and commitment to a job done right would lead to progress and a better life for my family. Despite my hard work and success, like entrepreneurs in every industry, I had to overcome disruption. Digital music and streaming services disrupted radio and changed how people consumed news, music, and information. Amazon and ebooks continue to turn the book publishing model on its ear. But as entrepreneurs, when disruptions threaten the businesses we build, the jobs we've created, we learn how to adapt. It's how we survive. The hospitality industry faces disruptions such as new technologies, brand models, and regulations, but we've never faced disruption as impactful as this pandemic. That's why AAHOA is doing everything we can to help you adapt and overcome the disruptions and challenges this pandemic is inflicting on your businesses. We saw our industry go from years of consecutive growth to standstill seemingly overnight. This virus is changing the way we live and do business, and it's forcing us to innovate. Some speculate that this pandemic is accelerating the inevitable demise of practices and industries that will be rendered obsolete by new technologies and the passage of time. It seems everything is changing. How we approach labor, guest services, sanitation protocols, automation, and other areas are all being impacted. We will continue to see significant shifts in the coming months and years. At AAHOA, our response to this pandemic is member-centric. We listen to your needs. We look at how we can meet them in the short term, and we plan for supporting you and our industry in the long run. For hoteliers and the hospitality industry, the road to recovery starts with AAHOA. This association is a reflection of you, our members, your dreams, and your journeys. In my role as president and CEO, I'm committed to learning as much as I can from you and meeting as many AAHOA members, industry partners, and association partners as I possibly can. AAHOA has great momentum, and we're riding high following a year of big achievements. Like you, our dynamism and ambition has allowed us to adapt and pivot our resources during this crisis to look forward and give you the resources you need to get through this pandemic. I'm excited to explore the multitude of ways AAHOA can and will help hoteliers adapt to disruption. From advocacy and education to exclusive virtual events such as this, we are continually reimagining how we can deliver for you. I want you to be clear. My goal is for AAHOA to become the most respected entity in the hospitality world, respected for its leadership and for its service to its members. As we progress through our 4th decade, AAHOA will become nothing less than the foremost resource and advocate for America's hotel owners. As an association, we are prepared for where the road ahead may lead us, no matter what disruptions may occur along the way. In 2021, we're going to still be dealing with many of this year's challenges. That's why our goal is that every day you run your business, you have the confidence that AAHOA is by your side, providing the resources that you need to succeed. AAHOA is in a strong financial position because of our careful spending and the ever-increasing value we deliver to our investors. Like you, our members, our association is also striving to make the most efficient use of all of our resources in an effort to continually fulfill our mission. We will continue to make wise choices for our association and for you, our members, and I know we will all survive this crisis together. AAHOA's leadership continues to advocate for you with lawmakers, brands, and OTAs. Our industry-leading education is focused on the issues that matter most to you. It helps you stay on top of the best ways to respond to this pandemic and protect your employees, your guests, and your business. Together, we will survive COVID and other disrupting forces to be even stronger in the years ahead. You are the heart and soul of our industry. As challenging as this crisis is, you endure, and you do so with resiliency and grace. I'm proud to be part of this association, and I'm humbled to work with such accomplished entrepreneurs as you. I'm also fortunate to work with a great team in Atlanta and in Washington, D.C., as well as with our next speakers. Please join me in welcoming your 2020-2021 AAHOA officers. Chairman Biren Patel, Vice Chair Vinay Patel, Treasurer Neil Patel, and Secretary Bharat Patel.
Thank you, Cecil. Good afternoon, everyone. As Cecil mentioned, my name is Biren Patel, and I'm the AAHOA Chairman. Thank you for joining us today for the North Carolina, South Carolina, and Mid-South Regional, a virtual experience. Our team has worked hard to bring you this outstanding virtual conference and trade show. Based on the feedback that we had been given about the 2020 annual virtual convention and trade show, we are proud to present you with a new and improved interface that enhances your experience. It enables you to connect with our vendor partners and each other clearly, directly, and easily. I was looking forward to meeting everyone in person as your chairman this year. However, the fact that we are meeting virtually is yet another reminder that we are far from business as usual. As an owner of both branded and independent properties, I understand and share your frustrations and concerns about our industry. The recovery forecast from STR, CBRE, and others keep shifting further down the road as our nation struggles to fight this pandemic. Our recovery as an industry will begin when people start increasing their travel. Although the recovery timeline is uncertain, AAHOA is working hard to help you during these challenging times. Today, you're going to hear from our AAHOA officers about our efforts to help you navigate to the road to recovery and come out on the other side of this crisis. We've refocused our advocacy and education efforts and priorities to address the multitude of new challenges facing owners, such as the liquidity crisis, accessing government relief programs such as PPP, seeking relief from brands and OTAs, which is a very hot topic amongst our membership, and protecting guests and employees. I know there are many things that are impacting our businesses right now that have us concerned. However, I can tell all of you this: AAHOA is trying its best with the obstacles and parameters in front of us. Our education team has developed over 180 COVID-specific webcasts since March to help you address the pandemic's challenges head on. AAHOA also keeps you up to speed on the latest industry and COVID news with our daily digest. We've also had over 70 virtual events, which address local issues and bring you together with the AAHOA and industry leaders and help you stay connected. Even though we're in a virtual space today, I hope today's regional conference allowed you to take advantage of the networking opportunities and the special deals you only get through AAHOA. We are excited to share with you all of AAHOA's efforts to support you and your businesses. As you know, tomorrow is election day. And if you haven't had a chance to vote yet, please make a plan to get out and vote tomorrow so your voices can be heard. Now, welcoming you, AAHOA Vice Chairman Vinay Patel, who will give you an industry update in your areas and bring you up to speed on our advocacy efforts in Washington, D.C. and state capitals across the country. Vinay?
Thank you, Biren. So I get a chance to talk to you about the data that's going on right now in terms of how our hotels are operating this year. Obviously, none of us are operating at very high levels at all, but at least we can kind of venture down to what's available in your cities and what's going on in your particular cities. Next slide. So when you look at the data right now, the data you see on the screen right now is year-to-date September 2020. You look at all the different regions. You look at Lexington, Kentucky at 43% occupancy with a rate of $80. Chattanooga at 52. Nashville seems like one of the most hurt cities out here in terms of occupancy at 37.9 at a rate of $89.97. Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina at 41% occupancy at an ADR of $77. Charlotte is at 43 occupancy percentage-wise and $78 in terms of ADR. Columbia, for a smaller market, has fared well at 49%, almost 50% occupancy with the rate of $74. And then Greenville, South Carolina, again, similar, smaller market where the occupancies have remained in the 47 range and a rate of $77. Next slide. So now here we're going to look at the U.S. lodging forecast for all the hotels across the country here. You look at the data here, the demand is down by 39%, ADR is down. Year-end occupancy that's forecast for all hotels across the USA is 39.9%. And then the more profounding factor here is that you don't see any kind of recovery until 2024. So you've got a good 4 years before we come back to what we expected or what we did last year in 2019. Next slide. Now we'll focus on the cities that this region is covering. Let's start off with Charlotte. Charlotte, all hotels, this means full service, mid-scale, and even economy. Again, the demand is 35% down with the RevPAR at 51% down by the forecast by the end of this year. Again, similar numbers here as well, that the occupancy does not come back until 2024. You're still looking at a good 4 years before we get back to 2019 numbers. Now you look at the Charlotte lodging mid-price hotels, the mid-scale hotels, and those hotels, demand is down by 38.9, RevPAR is at 53, and then again, similar numbers where the occupancy does not come back until 2024 in terms of what we did in 2019. Then you look at the Charlotte, the lower price hotels, the economy hotels, and these are doing a lot better. Not only in Charlotte, you'll see in the other cities as well, they're doing a lot better. So when you look at the demand forecast for the next couple of months for 2020, you're only down by 14%, and then RevPAR down by 20%. That's a scary thing for me to say when I'm thinking it's only down by 14%. That's still a significant amount. But when you compare it to the mid-scale and full-service hotels, that's still reasonably not bad. But even in this economy sector, you don't see getting back to any kind of normalcy, at least 2019 numbers, still until 2024. You look at the Columbia market, all hotels, the forecast for 2020, still not too bad at minus 29%, RevPAR at minus 42%. Again, similar things in terms of when do you get back to back to 2019 numbers, and you're looking at 2024. Columbia lodging market, the mid-price hotels, again, down by minus 30.9, RevPAR is down by minus 42%. And you don't get back to 2019 numbers until 2024. Then you look at the Columbia lower price hotels. Again, similar stories as I said before, the economy segment is still faring much better. Even here, we're forecasted for 2020 at 19% down with the RevPAR down at 27.9, and then getting back to 2019 numbers in 2024. Now we'll look at the Raleigh market. Again, all hotels, demand is down by minus 35%. RevPAR is down by 47.7. And then you don't get back to 2019 numbers until 2024. You look at the Raleigh mid-priced hotels, the mid-scale hotels, demand is down by minus 40%. RevPAR is down by minus 47. And then again, you don't get back to the 2019 numbers until 2024. Again, similar trend in terms of in Raleigh as well, where the lower price hotels are faring a little better. And when you look at a demand of minus 15%, and then a RevPAR of 24%, and occupancy will top out at 62% for the end of this year, but does not come back to 2019 numbers until 2024. Then you look at the Nashville. Nashville's been a hot market over the last, so many years. Spoken to a lot of people, even with all the new supplies, they've been able to absorb what was been in the market over the last 4 or 5 years. But when you look at the market for 2020, demand is down by 37%. And then you look at a RevPAR decline of 56% year end for this year. Now, one of the differences in Nashville is that, it recovers a little quicker. It recovers to the occupancy level, gets back amongst all the hotels to 74% by 2023, 1 year earlier than the other markets that we talked about. Now you drill it down to further more in terms of the mid-price hotels. The mid-price hotels, obviously this year has been a tough year for them as well, at a minus 31.5, and then a RevPAR decline of minus 49.5. Again, the mid-price hotels recover a lot quicker in Nashville. You look at the numbers here, the data, what's forecasted is that they will recover by 2022 to the 2019 numbers here. So they seem like they're able to catch up much quicker than the rest of the market with the various demand generators that they have there. You go to the economy hotels, the lower price hotels in Nashville. Occupancy by end of this year will be at 52%. A RevPAR is at minus 34%. Overall, again, it's still down, but when you look at the bigger pictures, reasonably well. And then again, it recovers a lot quicker. So by end of 2022, we get back to 2019 numbers for economy hotels in Nashville. Now I'm going to look at the operating performance. This is given to us by CBRE. So if you look at the operating revenue, I know this is hard to see here, but it's almost down by almost 50%, down by 50% in terms of the operating revenue by property type. And the limited service mid-scale hotel segment has been hit the most hardest, but at least at the end of the day, they're faring a lot better. Then you look at the operating profits, they're down by 77% in terms of operating profit compared to August of last year to August of this year, 2020, even in the mid-scale level. Then you look at the gross operating profit margins. Prior to this year in 2019, we were at 43%, and this year we're at 24%. I'm not sure even how much we're making in terms of operating margins here, but it's still down by 25% in terms of what we're making after operations here. Next, I'll talk about the advocacy. Advocacy is probably one of the most important functions that the association does. And even right now, I think this is probably one of the most important times for the associations to step up on the advocacy part. As you see the things that's going on right now, without the governmental help, I don't think we could have gotten ahead. Even in my own cases, whether it be the PPP to loan forbearance to whatever else we could have gotten from local jurisdictions, if it wasn't for the help of the government at this time, we would not have been able to get through. When you look ahead over the next 6 months, we've got some very difficult months coming up ahead of us here. So even more reliance on the sense of at the government side. And so that makes it more important that we're more focused on advocacy and making sure that we're fighting on your behalf when it comes to legislative items that are out there. In the past, advocacy was always very important, but we've kind of focused on workforce relationships, drive-by lawsuits, tax reform, and travel and tourism. Those are still important functions of the association, but we're focusing on a lot of different things right now in terms of focusing on how we can get through the pandemic here. One of the issues that we all face, and I'm facing myself, and I'm assuming with all the hoteliers that are out there, is that liquidity. Having cash to survive over the last 6 months, having cash over the next 6 months. How do you kind of get through the next 6 months in terms of operations? Regulatory relief. How do you kind of get relief from the governmental side, whether it be local tax relief or whatever we can get, we're focusing on that. And then liability reforms. With the COVID that goes on right now, are you really liable for things that could happen if somebody catches it at your hotel? So we're making sure we protect ourselves and protect you in terms of any kind of liability reform to your hotel there. So, you may ask, hey, since March, what has AAHOA been doing? AAHOA has been very, very actively engaged. When you talk about the CARES Act negotiations, things that are going on in the CARES Act, and the devil is always in the details. When you look at a lot of different things here, the devil's always what's going on inside the little details that make a big difference there. So on the CARES Act, we're primarily focused on the PPP, a lot of other things that make sure that we made a difference for us. And, when you look at the CARES Act, one of the things that I think we were on the forefront was the affiliation rule for us. So if you own more than one hotel, before you could only get one PPP loan because you were affiliated with one hotel. We made sure that, hey, look, our members own multiple hotels, and making sure that, hey, look, that does not apply, that you can only apply to one hotel. So that affiliation rule, I think it's one of the biggest things that wins for us as an association, that, hey, look, because of us, we're able to make sure that our members are able to apply for PPP loans across all the hotel brands or hotel investments that you guys have there. We also push regulatory relief, a lot of different things, whether putting pressure on the FDIC, whether putting pressure on the special service on the CMBS side. We've got all kinds of different issues on the banking side. CMBS has been a big issue. Many of our hotel members, owners have CMBS loans. We've also got loans with our local lenders, and see how we can make sure that the FDIC stands on our behalf, and make sure that the regulatory relief is there for the banks as well. So that way they're not putting the pressure on us as hoteliers who are borrowing money on their side. We've also participated with the president, meetings with the president, the vice president, and key members of Congress, and many of our ambassadors, many of our regional directors, many of our staff, to many of all of us have been very important in terms of talking to our key members of Congress, saying, hey, look, these are some of the issues that we're facing. These are some of the things that we need to do, and how we can help each other in terms of getting through this pandemic here. It also urged for new legislation. We talk about what we've done over the last 6 months. Even looking ahead, you've got a lot of issues coming ahead. Winter is coming, and you talk about things that are coming along over the next 6 months, that you do need to have something that'll help us out over the next 6 months as well. And also a key source for us to serve on the key source as far as information to help with the PPP. Even looking ahead, hoping we can get a second round of PPP, hoping we can get some additional relief in terms of any kind of relief that we can get. So whatever we think that's important for our members, we want to make sure that we focus on that. And so we make sure that we get our needs pointed across to the legislative members there. Next, I'll talk about the PAC, the Political Action Committee. It's very, very critical these days, and one of the things that when we do give out money to our PAC, from our PAC to our congressional leaders, it's a methodical process. It's not like, hey, look, Vinay knows this guy here, give him 5,000 or 2,000 or whatever. It's a methodical process where we've got a grading system from 1 to 10, and we rank every candidate that's seeking money from us. And then a Government Affairs Committee basically vets it out and makes sure that it makes sense in the best interest on a bigger picture for the association to give to this particular candidate. So I assure you that any kind of money that we do donate to the PAC, to the AAHOA PAC, it is vetted out properly, making sure it's given to the right candidate who will give us the best promise, the best return on our investment that we give on the PAC side there. So one of the things that I would encourage everybody to donate to the PAC, one way to do that is by going to visiting myahoa.com. Look up your member of Congress, see whom you know, see whom your senators are, whom your congressional people are, and see who they are, how you can reach out to them and see how you can make a difference in terms of telling them, hey, what your issues and needs are. Contribute to the AAHOA PAC. Right now, I understand these are not the best of times to look at donating to the PAC. I just showed you data from all the different various cities there, and it's not the best of times for the industry as a whole. But I encourage you guys, for $365 per year, so $365, $1 a day, it makes a big difference. The more people we get at the 365, it makes a big difference for us to kind of make sure that we can have influence on your behalf in the congressional side there. And also, when you get action alerts from us, just recently we did a 1,000 letter, 10,000 letter, 1,000 letters, sorry, to the congressional people there. So we got 1,500 on top of that. So I think that the point is that when you see these action alerts that come to you, I encourage you guys to engage, and it's very simple. All you really have to do is type in your name, address, your home address, and your telephone number, and that kind of tells to the congressional person what you want to do and what's on your side there. And also update your property data, on myahoa.com. That has been one of the most important things that we need. I've been in so many different meetings with congressional leaders, and they'll say, hey, look, how many owners do you have? Or how many people, how many hotels do you guys own? Or how many members of people in your city that own these type of hotels? So when we have that data, it makes it a lot easier for us to talk to congressional leaders and talk to them saying, hey, look, we own 5,000 hotels or 500 hotels, or even within your congressional district, saying, hey, look, in your district, we own 20, 25 hotels or 30 hotels or 1,000 hotels. Whatever it is, it makes a big difference when you have concrete data and makes more impactful whatever kind of information that we're passing along to them. So I encourage you guys to go to myahoa.com and update your property data to make sure we have all the proper information there. With that said, I'm going to hand the floor over to Anil, who's going to talk about what we're doing on the education and the communication side there.
Thank you, Vinay. I'm Neil Patel. I'm your treasurer for AAHOA. I'm from Austin, Texas. And one thing I wanted to bring up is tomorrow is November 3rd. Go out and vote. Vinay couldn't have said it better. We have to get involved. Get involved with your elected officials. And they want to hear from us on what our concerns are. So let's tell them so that they can work for us and our industry. And I want to go over some of the education efforts that AAHOA has done. We came up last year with the AAHOA Hotel Owners Academy. Just last year, we had 17,163 attendees. And this year alone, we have over 40,000 attendees. That's 138% increase from year over year. We have every aspect of hotel ownership included, from ADA compliance to all the way to revenue generation and much more. So let's talk about what AAHOA is doing. So we have 4 certifications that AAHOA has partnered with. First one is P&G. We have a partnership with P&G. And in order to get guest confidence back into our industry, we've partnered with them and we've created a certification for sanitization. And we want to ensure every property of ours is certified. And we want to make sure that we take guest safety as our #1 priority. As it already has been, we have to let them know that yes, we've taken the initiative to get this done and we care for our guests, and let's take the guest confidence back. So improve travel. And as Vinay went over the data, we are projecting the travel data to be back by 2022 or even 2024. And as of right now, we have 500 people who've signed up since we launched it back in August. Number 2, the second we have is all new CHR program. Since we implemented it in February, we have over 800 registrations. And for lifetime members, it's only $199. And for annual members, it's $249. This is the best price in the industry for a certification of this kind. Number 3, our human trafficking awareness training, HTAT. We have more than 6,300 owners and their staff take this training, including all my staff. They've been trained for this. We know bad things happen at our hotels. So we want to make sure that we do everything we can to stop it, because it's giving our industry a bad name for this. So let's take an initiative. Let's put an end to this once and for all. Our 4th one is CHIA, or Certification in Hotel Industry Analytics. This program is valued at $500, but as an AAHOA member, you can get it for just $400. So right now we have more than 300 webcasts available on demand. Out of those 300, over 180 are just COVID related. In 2019, AAHOA hosted over 100 webinars, an average of 2 webinars per week. Year to date, AAHOA already has hosted more than 180 webinars, of which over 160 have been COVID related and reached more than 32,000 people. Here are the list of the last 3 most popular webinars. Number 1, we did a webinar on using LinkedIn to grow your hotel's presence and stay profitable. Another one we did was ADA compliance in social distancing era. And our 3rd one was hotel valuation outlook as of June 30th, 2020. So I want to make sure that AAHOA is providing the data that we can. Data is more important than oil. So let's do our part and get as much data as we can and learn new things every single day that we can make our businesses better. That way we can save money, make money, and protect our investment. So here's how you can stay informed. Number one, a daily digest. Every evening, you'll get an email from AAHOA, and you can get within 3 minutes all the relevant news for the entire day that happened. You can catch up with all the industry news within 3 minutes every evening. Second is make sure you customize your AAHOA email. Go on myhoa.com and customize your profile. You can select on exactly what kind of emails you want. If you are interested in advocacy, you can select advocacy. If you want deals and discount, that's what you can select. So now we can tailor content especially for you. And the third one, make sure your cell phones are updated, because when there's something important, as Vinay stated, we sent 15,000 letters to our Congress, and something as important as that, AAHOA does text you. And we want to make sure that our members are involved, especially when we're trying to get 10,000 letters being sent. And we were so successful, we had to increase our goal to 15,000, and we're able to achieve it because of what we have and the membership getting together for one purpose. So here are 3 things that I want you to take back and implement. Number 1, sign up for a certificate that you have not yet earned. Number 2, pick 3 webcasts to share with your staff. And the last one, customize your AAHOA experience by updating your My AAHOA profile. And you can go on myahoa.com, you can put your phone number in there, it'll text you the password. It's as simple as that. And now with that said, your newly elected secretary, Bharat Patel. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Great having you all virtually. I'm not a huge fan of Zoom calls, but knowing in this COVID era, well, let's do the best that we can. Despite the fact that AAHOA has had very few in-person events in 2020 due to the pandemic, AAHOA has nonetheless engaged with more hotel owners in 2020 than in any previous year. The numbers show that hotel owners are coming to AAHOA for the information and support they need, and that they keep coming again and again, even at a time where we have had to pivot. AAHOA continues to meet members where they are. Let's talk a little bit about virtual events. AAHOA has hosted more than 70 virtual events, addressing local issues by region and reaching more than 4,000 hotel owners. These geographic topical forums give members the opportunity to meet directly with AAHOA and industry leaders on topics by locale and by brand. I hope many of you have had a chance. We've actually got another one coming up with Hilton pretty soon. On the golf tournaments, again, the North Carolina region hosted a fantastic tournament. We have another one scheduled for next year. In fact, we have six scheduled for next year. Hopefully some of you, even during these COVID times, can come out to one of those events. Regional conferences, let me touch base on that a little bit. Not even a pandemic can stop us from offering the outstanding networking opportunities hotel owners value and what AAHOA is known for. I hope all of you had a chance to stop at this current regional and stop in and try a little bit of networking virtually. We have 8 super regionals and unlimited access to all our members at no additional cost. If you have a chance, if you had not the opportunity to network on this one, perhaps you have a chance to join one of our other regionals. Let me talk a little bit about AAHOACon 20. AAHOACon 20, a huge success, the first fully produced virtually industry conference since COVID, with industry-leading content and a great AAHOA meeting, complete with elections. I hope many of you were able to participate. AAHOACon 2021, everything's bigger in Texas, right? So May 4th through the 7th, Dallas. I hope to see many of you there. Look forward to the registration details coming soon in late fall. New protocols will be put in place to give you the convention experience you love, the networking, the best trade show in the business, access to industry experts, and forecasts. Safely, physically distancing, watch for registration registration updates. Let me just say this. What I love about AAHOA and the annual convention is we get to meet the same vendors that we like, that we know and trust. These are the vendors that help provide AAHOA, a vendor partnership, a stream of revenue. Please give every vendor partner an opportunity I know in these COVID times, money's tight. Every dollar counts. Go to our website, AAHOA.com. Go to myahoa.com. As Neil and Baron and Vinay Bhai have spoken about, there's many opportunities there to engage with AAHOA leaders, but also to save money and protect your investment. Deals and discounts. AAHOA recognizes that you are in times of our industry, every dollar counts. Let me cover this. The vendor directory. I want you to subscribe to the vendor digest, just like Neil talked about the daily digest for the latest for all the hotel owners. Calls to action. I also have a couple of calls to action. Let me just preface this. I know everyone's talked about this too. In fact, while I was on this Zoom call, I got a text from somebody, where do I go to early vote? And today, voting is not allowed in Florida. But everyone, if you have not voted so far, please go out and vote tomorrow. You might have to get up a little bit early, but please consider it a part of your civic duty. My call to action, attend the next virtual event that you can for your region or nationwide. There's a lot of emails on it you get on a daily basis. You get the daily digest or weekly email from AAHOA. Please peruse through and see if there's something, one webinar, one educational thing that you can take part of. Second, check AAHOA daily discounts to make sure you're getting the best pricing for your products. Third, check your phone right now to make sure you're signed up to receive the daily digest. Now, going to AAHOA.com, there's My AAHOA. You should automatically come to the screen that allows you to enter MyAAHOA.com. So I want to thank everyone that has participated in this regional. Before I hand it over to Baron, please give the AAHOA PAC an opportunity and hit that link before the call ends. Thank you, Baron. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bharat. As my fellow officers mentioned, I want to kind of just, before we go into the next segment, I want to kind of echo about the AAHOA PAC. 6 days ago, we launched a campaign for the PAC as your PAC chair. And the campaign is, we're looking for 365 individuals to contribute $365, which is obviously $1 a day. So for all three of your regions, if we get at least 17 to 20 individuals contributing $365, that reaches our PAC goal. And even in this time, and as all my officers mentioned, it's a critical time for our industry, and every dollar counts for all of our initiatives. Now, I want to discuss franchise relations and OTAs, which are hot topics amongst our membership, and rightfully so, especially in the times that we are in. The amount of hard-earned resources that we put into our hotels, whether they are ground-up projects or acquisitions, makes us even more protective of our investments. One of the largest expense items are the monies that we pay to our franchisor each month, and these costs continue to go up every year. Knowing this, we continue to be the voice of America's hotel owners with the brands. So you might ask, what are we doing with the brands? So I want to kind of give you a list of what we're focusing on when we speak with the brands. We're focusing on increasing the owner value proposition and the ROI for owners. We're focusing on making sure that the brands think of the owners as they think of the customers. If something makes sense for the guest, does it also make sense for the owner? We're also making sure that we're focusing on that the brands are communicating with the owners before implementing new standards. And then when they implement them, are they telling us? And when they tell us, are they telling us why they're making these changes and how it benefits us as owners? And lastly, we're focusing on contribution. How many reservations are the brands sending us? And as all of you know, we get charged fees for reservations that don't even come through brand.com. So, these are some of the things that we're focusing on when we talk to the brands. As we discuss things, a lot of things with the brands, we might not get everything we ask for. And as all of you have seen, some brands have done more than others during this time. I'm going to go over a list of initiatives that AAHOA has addressed and continues to address with the brands during COVID. Pausing PIP and cycle renovations plus fees. Pausing guest satisfaction surveys plus fees. Pausing loyalty program enrollment requirements plus fees. Limiting or halting all food and beverage service, or relaxing for each owner to decide what is best at their hotel. Pausing QA inspections plus fees. Delaying training plus fees. pausing brand standards which are not safety related, plus postponing the implementation of all new standards set for 2020, canceling mandatory conferences and meetings and refunding all fees paid in advance for these, discounting and deferring royalty fees, discounting or eliminating fixed fees which are not being earned during COVID, ensuring simple and inexpensive hotel closures process if a hotel needed to close, limiting health and safety standards to what is necessary and makes sense at each hotel and at little cost, reevaluating the breakfast options for the long term, eliminating unnecessary room and lobby amenities and making other upon request only, and limiting housekeeping and exploring long-term options. Having said that, AAHOA continues to gather members' concerns and is trying ways to how to approach and share these ideas and concerns with our brand leaders. As we continue to advocate for our membership and we hear all the concerns from our members, one of the things that my fellow officers mentioned that we need is hard data. And why do we need this hard data? I'll give you some examples. So when we go speak to our brand partners on issues that are affecting our membership, one of the first things they ask us is, how many people does this affect? And if we don't have that data, then we don't have substance behind our dialogue. So I'll give you an example of a statement that doesn't have much substance compared to one that does have more substance or could be more effective. So if we go to a brand partner and we say, some of our members are saying that a particular mandate is not needed or unfair, that's a broad statement with not much substance. They want to know, more data or more substance. So compared to, let's say, if I go to a brand partner and say, hey, this mandate that you are telling your franchisees is affecting, let's say, 300 properties nationwide, which are owned by AAHOA owners. That statement has more substance. That's why the data that we're asking you to fill out, it goes a long way when we have these dialogues. Also, surveys. When we send surveys out to you all, we urge you to take part into these surveys. I'll tell you why. We as officers and leaders of this association, we always get a lot of members reach out to us with individual concerns. We try to address them as best as we can, but we can't assume that these concerns are concerns that all members want. I'll give you an example. A couple months ago, we sent out a brand relief survey of what the brands have done during COVID. And just to be honest with all of you, we didn't get the feedback that we wanted. So we couldn't take that survey to the brands and say, hey, look, brand X, you haven't give as much relief as our members or franchises need, because we didn't get the feedback we needed with those brand surveys. Also, we're also evaluating what's in the best interest of the franchisees. How, we know that it differs from owner to owner. I'll give you another example. When COVID first started, we had members, reaching out to us stating that we want to get rid of breakfast. And when we spoke to our brand partners about getting rid of breakfast, we came to find out that not all of our members want to get rid of breakfast, because some owners need breakfast to be ahead in their comp set or in their markets. So it just depends, it varies from owner to owner. So we urge you to take part in everything that we send out. And then we also want to improve our communication to all of you when we have dialogues with our brands and let you all know what they're telling us. So in the future, we're trying to improve our ways of communicating with all of you when we have these dialogues with our brand partners. OTAs, as all of you know, is a hot topic amongst our membership, and rightfully so. We get a lot of inquiries from our membership. And as you know, the brands have contracted a commission rate with each franchisee. We want to go to our brand partners and give them the data and input of how much they should reduce the fees for their franchisees when their term comes up again. So when their contract ends and they're up for renewal, we want to give them hard data of X amount of our franchisees of X brand is advocating and wants you as a brand to lower that commission. So that's why it's important that when they negotiate on behalf of you as a franchisee, that they need to renegotiate and make a better rate, especially in these times. Also, independent hoteliers. Last year, we spent a whole year trying to get an AAHOA rate for independent hotels. And once again, they're asking us how many AAHOA members own independent hotels. And we don't have that number. We have some of that data, but we have X amount of independent hoteliers that are, and we were asking for a better AAHOA commissionable rate through the OTAs. Lastly, we must protect AAHOA and let you know when we see actions that may not be legal. At the end of the day, we're all competing with each other as hotel owners. And there are laws that prohibit us from boycotting certain things as a group. Trust me, we might not agree to go this in certain ways, and we might not like it, but we need to come up with more innovative ways and new solutions to try to go to the OTAs to give us more relief. As all of you know, they haven't done much during this pandemic and even prior to the pandemic. Next slide, please. So summing up what my fellow officers said and what I've said about brand relations and OTAs, there's 4 things that I ask for all of you to do if you haven't done so already. Number 1 is when you go to myahoa.com and your profile, you need to update your email. A lot of you have not updated your current email, and we hear all the time that we're not getting the communication from AAHOA what AAHOA is doing. If your email is not updated, you're not getting the educational offerings, what we're doing on the advocacy front, what we're doing with our brand partners. So I urge you to update your email. Second, once again, update your property data. Your name does not go out when we speak to our elected officials or OTAs or brands, but we need to know how many of our members own certain brands. So that's why we urge you to update that property data. And then once again, the surveys, when the surveys and call to actions come out, we need your engagement. Our voice is stronger when we get that engagement from you. And then for those of you who own branded hotels, get involved in your OACs and your FACs. If there's seats open for election, then I urge you to run for those seats. So then AAHOA and the OACs and FACs can have a unified voice when we have these discussions with them. Before we go into our Q&A, I'd like to thank all 3 of our regional directors, Akshat Bhai, Sunil Bhai, and Chet, for everything that you do for not only your region, but for also the association every day of the year. And I'd also like to thank all of the ambassadors for everything you do on the grassroots level for your regions. I hope that you found today's regional informative and valuable. And like I said, we'll get through this hopefully sooner than later. And now I'd like to open up to Q&A if any of you have questions.
Thank you, Biren. Turning to Vinay, we have a question from an AAHOA member. How is AAHOA helping its members on CMBS loans, specifically recommendations for deferrals and forbearance?
When it comes to CMBS loans, it's a very difficult challenge. When you look at the fact that from a governmental perspective, what can you do? The association has done a great job in terms of what they're doing. We've been a lot of different legislations that have been out there, but nothing that can be addressed towards the CMBS side here. So it's a very difficult challenge. I think the thing is that for CMBS side here is that use the resources that the association has, whether it be some of the educational side, the webinars that we have, a lot. Look at our vendor partners that we have in terms of, hey, look, how can we kind of work with our CMBS loans, or how can we do kind of deferrals or forbearance, whatever else we need to do. I'll give you my own personal example. I've got 3 CMBS loans personally, and all 3 different ones have been all different. And we use a third-party company on one of them to negotiate on our behalf, and on the other 2, I did it myself. And my personal opinion and my suggestion to you is that when it comes to this sort of stuff, I mean, if it's a big, large, complicated loan, obviously you should bring in the third-party companies here. But I just kind of negotiated on my own and said, hey, look, guys, this is what I got. This is what the hotel's doing. This is what I, as an owner, I am doing to make sure that I stay afloat. And we've been able to kind of work it through. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. The servicers are not easy. The master servicers are not easy. And they put us through a lot of hassles here, or hurdles, I guess. But at the end of the day, if you kind of do your own things there, that you should be fine. But in terms of what we're doing, at least, we've had conversations with CEFRI, which is a association that represents the special servicers. I've been on calls with them and talking to them. Hey, look, our members are not trying to take advantage of the system here. We're just trying to make sure that we kind of get through the pandemic here, come out on the positive side here. So, from a legislative side as well, there's been a couple of legislative bills that have been out there, but it's just one of those ones that when you look at the CMBS loans, it's just a very difficult challenge in terms of what you can do from a legislative side here. But I think, as I said, to recap, education has been important. You look at some of the webinars and see how you can get through some of the work through some of your CMBS loans that you have. I would encourage you to talk to your master service and special service yourself. You could always hire a third-party company that can do it on your behalf. There are plenty of them out there. And so the AAHOA has a lot of vendor partners that can help you there. So there are a lot of resources that the association has for you to kind of get through the CMBS loans. But if there's any specific questions that you have, you're more than welcome to reach out to the association, or you're more than welcome to reach out to me directly, and I can at least kind of give you some suggestions and thoughts in terms of what has worked for me, what didn't work for me personally.
Thank you, Vinay. Biren, hotel revenues and rates are down, but neither the OTAs nor the franchise fees are coming down. You just covered some of this, but can you review what AAHOA is doing to help members on the franchise and OTA front?
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. So as I mentioned in my segment, that we at the end of the day, even your elected leadership, all own hotels and are hoteliers, and we own branded hotels also. So we sense the frustration that our membership has, especially during this time when our brands, some of them haven't done enough during this pandemic. So we continue to have these dialogues with our brand partners and OTAs. But like I mentioned earlier, we need to have more substance when we have these dialogues. How many people is it exactly affecting? How is it affecting them? So we get it that, during this time, some have done more than others, and some need to step up. And so we continue still, pushing the dialogue with them and say, hey, we need to do more. You need to do more. At the end of the day, it is their decision. But we as owners will remember what they've done in a time of need when it's a chance for them to step up, especially during this time. And if they don't, then that's something that we need to consider down the road if we want to continue doing business with them, is my opinion.
Thanks, Biren. Vinay, has there been any discussion with the government specifically for hotel owners who maybe purchased a hotel this year and different relief available for new owners?
Yeah, that has come up to me directly, personally, from not a lot, but enough people. But the problem, and as much as we want to go in that direction, the reality is that it's just such a small amount. When you look at the larger picture of all the people that have got hotels last year and whatever else out there, we've addressed that, but it's been a very difficult challenge in terms of what we can do on the relief there.
Thanks, Vinay. Mr. Chairman, there's no other questions today.
Thank you, Rachel. So I'd like to thank all of you for joining today. If you're an AAHOA member or an exhibitor, thank you for your membership and your commitment to AAHOA. If you're not a member or an exhibitor, we hope you found today's event valuable and you consider joining our association. Thank you again and have a good evening.